All right, good morning, and thank you for creating time for us. We really appreciate your time and company on this 8th day of the first month, the year 2025. I'm still getting used to saying 2025, but karibu sana to the very first live episode of your health and lifestyle this particular Wednesday. We're so glad that you created time to join us, and we are talking about mental health this morning. What a way to set you off for this new year. We want to talk about, the way this transition into the new year, and of course, people are adjusting so many things in their lives right now, changing schools, moving to different classes, the workplace, in the career field as well. Some people are changing jobs, some people are changing into new departments, and there's a lot going on in our lives right now as we try to navigate and change a few things here and then. I was having a discussion with my guest who I'm hosting this morning, and she was telling me we never really think about how this sometimes could have a great impact on our mental health. And that is what we want to talk about this particular morning. I'm talking about none other than Regina Nduati. She is a counseling psychologist. We've been with her here before, but it's been a minute. Karibu sana to the program.
Thank you.
Yeah, good to have you, and to help us understand how these basic things of life, sometimes behind the scenes, take a toll on us mentally. And let's begin by why the significance of this discussion, mental health, around this time. Usually we escalate this conversation in May when we are marking the Mental Health Awareness Month. Mm-hmm. There's been a very big agenda on men and mental health. But right now, I was telling you, we also need to think about children and mental health. Yes. But then from where you sit as we begin this conversation, why is it important for us to pause and take a few minutes to discuss matters mental health, especially around this time?
So thank you, Safin, for having me today. It's about starting. We are starting afresh, yeah? Because every time a new year comes by, we all start afresh. We want to start afresh. But again, we need to ask ourselves, how are we starting afresh? Mm-hmm. Because there's so much that is going on around our lives that is going to determine how we are going to start afresh. So we can't just say that we have folded, the cloth or the fabric for last year and place it aside, and now we are unfolding a new fabric. What has the old fabric gone away with? It really matters a lot. For example, we are just walking out of the long holiday, the festive season as we refer to it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's the Christmas Eve and then Christmas, and we go through to the New Year Eve, the New Year, and then from nowhere now we are going back to work.
It's a reality.
So we are resetting.
Reality.
Yes.
The school fees,
exactly.
Rent, everything is coming in around January. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's about resetting, and this resetting affects our mental health. We may, some of us may be so easy to adjust and reset, but for so many of us, it affects our mental health in a way. Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right, so we have different, seasons that affect us mentally. Mm-hmm. And I want us to talk about, those different seasons and how they're interlinked with our state of mental health.
Okay, yeah, so like now we came from, let me call it, the festive season, and now we are in the normal season. I'll call it normal season because we are now getting back into serious business. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that what we did over the holiday was not serious business. I'm sure the studios were working,
yes.
People were here working, so to them life was just normal. But I'm talking about the majority of us. Mm-hmm. Schools were closed, workplaces were closed for the holiday, for the festive season, and now we are back. And maybe I just want to ask also, how do you treat different seasons? For example, we have the rainy season, mm-hmm. we have the sunny season. Yeah, we are in Kenya, so we don't have the winters and the summers. But maybe you can equate with the rainy seasons and the sunny seasons. We don't treat them the same. Mm-hmm. When the rains come, we have to plan for them. Like now we know we're expecting some rains maybe towards the end of March into April, around that time. So it means you need to start planning to readjust when that time comes. It will have everything to do with your dress code, maybe the time for waking up, you have to prepare early. You know, the rains come with a traffic jam, so it means you have to leave a little bit earlier. Maybe you need to work early and leave a little bit earlier because of the rains. And then now comes the sunny season, which comes with the dust, you know, a lot of heat, there's sweating. So a lot, you know, the seasons will never be the same. So in the same way again, we have come from the festive season. We are now into the new year, where we are beginning a serious work and school season. So the way we treat these seasons will be very different. Like the festive season has been easy. Maybe you will agree with me, although I don't know whether you are on holiday yourself. Yeah, it depends.
Of course I was.
Yeah, depending on where you are. Okay, so for me, I was actually kind of on holiday. Yeah, of course, you know, as mental health practitioners don't really go on holiday. Because even on the Christmas Eve, somebody could be having an issue. On New Year, like I had a case to sort on New Year. Yeah, so sometimes you also don't go on leave, but we take some time off. You know, there's that sluggishness in the way you're doing things, because you also want to take some time and rejuvenate, you know, and do what we call self-care, yeah? So you find that during that time, there's some kind of slow, you know, sluggishness, some go slow.
There's no pressure.
There's no pressure, no one is pressurizing you, come to work, do this. And then now we come into this season. Now, people talk about even the sleeping patterns, yeah? They will change. Yeah, like I've just overheard someone saying, I was used to waking up early, I mean late, now I have to wake up early. So all these have to adjust. And you know, I usually tell people, try to not to change your patterns. Try to have a fixed pattern of the way you live your life. For example, having me, I don't change my waking up hours and my sleeping hours, whether I'm on holiday or not. Because I don't want that to affect my you know, my patterns when I get back to serious work. So if I have to sleep at 10, it has to be 10. If I have to wake up at 5, it has to be at 5, because I have a routine. But you realize some of us have been sleeping even up to as late as 10.
You don't even know what time of the day.
Exactly. And then now tomorrow you're supposed to go to work.
So
and you're
like, up at 4 a.m.
Am I really going to make it? Yeah.
But do we really often take time to really think about how this affects us mentally? You know, we take this so casually, as if it's just the basic things of life anyway. You know, when you say this term mental health, people think, no, it's not that serious. Link it for us, you know, these things that happen, these seasons that come. And I liked your analogy of how you borrowed from the natural phenomenon of rain and sun, and even in our lives, we have rainy days and we have sunny days. Yeah, so do we really think about how that has an impact on our mental health?
Okay, I think for most of us, maybe we don't. Yes, and I think that is why it's good to talk about it. But it's good to realize that everything that we do, everything that comes by in our life has an effect on our mental health. Yeah. Because it's about adjusting, readjusting, you know, picking pieces, you know, starting new things. It all has an effect on our mental health, because how well prepared are we? And you know, if you go back to the definition of mental health, it has your emotional part, you know. How well are you able to deal with your emotional part? How self-aware are you? You know, are you in touch with yourself? Yeah, psychologically, how is your mind? How is your mind always prepared when you're adjusting to new stuff around you? Like you're moving from one season to another. How well prepared is your mind? Because it's about your psychological well-being. How about socially? Like now, maybe you've been at home, you've been, you know, with different people, friends, family, and then you come back to your workplace where you're now interacting with your colleagues. There's that paradigm shift. How well, how socially prepared are you to deal with such kind of things? Because all these will affect the way you feel, the way you think, and the way you act. You know, you might, like, maybe you've been on holiday with the kids, and you know the way you handle small kids. Come here, do this, don't do that. And then now your mind has not registered that you're back in office, and you find yourself, someone telling you, hey, don't scream at me. Nisi mtoto wako, you know? So it actually has an impact. It's only that maybe some of us don't get to realize. And that is why we are here, to let people know that everything that you do revolves around your mental health, or it impacts on your mental health.
All right. I want us to talk about school-going children, yeah? Because it is around this time that a lot is happening.
Yeah.
There are those who have completed school. Some are still waiting for their results. There are those who are still going back to their schools, but they were on holiday and they were used to that long time of just being at home and having a day that has no pressure. We have some that are transferring from one school to another. Let's talk about these adjustments and how they're interlinked to the state of mental health in children, and how caregivers and parents can come in and help them have an easier season around this time.
Okay, thank you very much for bringing this question. Me, I'm an advocate of young people and the children, because you realize that not many people tend to think about children. Okay, let me just digress a bit and talk about a situation whereby there's grief in the home. There's a loss through death in the home. People focus on the grown-ups and they tend to think that the children are okay. These are just children.
That
Maybe it doesn't
not
affect them. If mommy is gone, daddy is still there. If daddy is gone, mommy is still there. But we don't really know that they get more affected than even as the adults. Do you know it is easier for an adult to adjust than a child? But we always assume that it's the other way around. Like now, let's say, for example, people are transferring their children to other schools. Okay, it is your decision as their parent. Me as a child, I'm just supposed to pack my things and follow you to the new school. You've not even asked me, are you okay transferring? Okay, fine. Even as I talk about this, we have some circumstances that may dictate transferring children to other schools.
The best solution.
Let's say, for example, a parent has now retired. And maybe they were living in Nairobi, so they don't have to live in Nairobi anymore. Maybe they have a retirement home, or maybe they want to go back to the village, do their farming or whatever it is. So they don't want to leave the children behind, so they'll have to carry them and go with them. So that means they have to transfer them to other schools. Or maybe you got a different job in a different place, or maybe you've been transferred on promotion to a different part of the country.
Just changing estate.
Yeah, or maybe you've changed. Okay, maybe sa umejenga, now you have your own home. So now you've decided, I'm no longer going to live in Klelesho, now I want to move to Ridgeways or whatever, So it means you have to carry your family with you. And since the distance cannot allow them to keep going to the, the current schools, you have to move them to the new schools. You need to sit your children and talk to them and tell them, you know what, we want to transfer you to a new school, and these are the reasons. We are not living in the days whereby our parents will command us around and we just do what they want.
No questions asked.
Yes, the current generation is a questioning generation. They need to know the reason why of things. So you need to sit them and explain to them, we are moving to a new home. And they'll ask you, how about my friends? It's not just about going to a new school, even the new home. There's what you call separation anxiety that they are going to suffer from. How about my friends? How about the environment? Because there's what you're used to. So you need to help them understand why sometimes they need to adjust to new things, why they need to go to new schools, why sometimes you need to lose your old friends and go to a place where you have to take up, new friends, why they need to adjust to teacher so-and-so whom they loved so much, children and their teachers, teacher Grace, teacher, and then now you're going to meet a different teacher. You don't know how they handle children. So you need to prepare them and tell them, teachers are just teachers anyway. Let us get there. I will talk to the teacher. We'll help you to adjust to the new environment. So you need to prepare them mentally. But do we really do that?
We don't. Can it affect a child's performance now that you've mentioned it? Moving that child from one school to another, without really dealing with all the issues you have mentioned. I mean, can that affect that child and even affect the academic performance of this child?
Yes, it can. And by the way, it can either positively or negatively. Negatively because maybe when they go there, they find, teachers have different systems of teaching or different ways of teaching. For example, in high school, there are those who will give notes. There are those who will tell you, take your textbook and make notes. So maybe you're moving from a school whereby you're spoon-fed, you're given everything. Then you're going to a school whereby you have to do everything for yourself. So because of that adjusting, it can affect your performance negatively. You may also go to a school whereby there's a lot of competition. And maybe you've been to a school whereby you've been always at the top. So there's that kind of complacence. You've always thought it's about me. Now you go to a school where you find there's a very high competition. It can also affect you positively because you will be forced to work even more harder to be able to keep up with that. So you're not saying that even these transitions are all negative. Maybe it could be even for the good of the child, because of, you know, moving the child from a different school, maybe from a different environment. And like, I mean, I've dealt with this issue whereby a child is coming from a private school to go to a public school. You know, the way things are done are very different. In public schools,
two different cultures.
You are taught independent. In private schools, there's some kind of dependence on the teachers. So for this kind of a child to adjust, it will take quite a lot of time. But when they adjust, they tend to appreciate what they're actually doing. So you might find that, you know, a coin has two sides. So everything has advantages and disadvantages.
This separation anxiety that you mentioned, to help us understand how a child connects to a school, probably for parents and caregivers to understand. When you disconnect a child from that school they were going to, what are you, what order are you interrupting in their life, and how best do you need to do it? Yeah,
you know, for a child, friendship is everything. And for a child who is in school, for most of them, their teachers are everything, because they have formed a pattern of interaction with their fellow students or pupils and their teachers, and even maybe the other workers in the school. So now when there is that separation, you know, they'll suffer from that anxiety of, how do I begin again? Am I going to get Safin where I'm going? Am I going to get Regina where I am going? Because they think that life is actually cast on stone, whereby it has to be that continuity. It's about this. So when you go there, and that's why I'm saying you need to prepare them psychologically to know that things are not the same, people are not the same, structures are not the same, you know, environments are not the same. So they need to have the ability to accept and to be able to adjust. So it is you, the parent, to work together even with the teachers. Yes. You know, there's this notion out here that teachers are not good. Teachers are very good people, by the way. It is the way you approach them. Because you see, if you come to a teacher and you tell them, my child has come here, you know, you need to take care of them. They're coming from a different school, and help them. It is different from telling me, you know what, this child, just try to keep an eye. I'll give my number, try to monitor and see. Just try to help me. Let us work together to help this child to adjust. Approach is everything.
I agree with that, because you can imagine one teacher handling a class of about 30.
Exactly.
30, you know, children.
Even 50.
Even 50 in some places. And you're wondering, how do you give your attention to all these children? So it is upon each and every parent or caregiver to bring to the attention of the teacher the specific needs and the unique challenges that your child is facing. So approaching the teacher and telling the teacher, my child could be behaving this because we've just moved places, we've moved towns, they've disconnected with their friends, maybe that's why they are behaving this way. So let's work together to help this child feel at home and to feel like this new environment is good for them, can actually help, as opposed to just keeping quiet and the teacher is maybe trying to figure out what's happening to your son or daughter. I think I like that suggestion. Let's talk about
what is happening. In most schools, you know, I've also been a parent, and you find that in most schools have class walls. You know, WhatsApp has also come to play both a positive and a negative role, because we have the class walls where the class teacher is the admin of the wall, and maybe the
groups.
parent, the parent-teacher representative. So if there are issues, parents will discuss them there. If there are maybe some peculiar issues with the students, maybe a teacher may post there, maybe just urge parents, when your students are coming home for holiday, try to work on this and this. Have seen this kind of behavior? And also, these new students who are coming in, or these new people who are coming in, may also come in with some maladaptive behaviors. But there's some of the transfers that happen in schools. They're not just happening because of moving, you know, that kind of a thing.
For positive reasons.
Sometimes, it's not always for positive reasons. Sometimes, this is a child who has been expelled from another school because of misconduct. And then now they're coming to this new school. And you know, most parents are in this habit of saying, oh, it was the weather, it was the diet in that school. But they don't face you to tell you that it is because of this and this. And you know, most schools now have teacher counselors. It is good when you go to that new school, find out who is the teacher in charge of counseling. Talk to them and just be open and talk to them. Their role is to try and just
huyu mtoto wangu
ako hivi na hivi.
Alichoma shule.
Alichoma shule ndio kwa sababu amekuja. Yes.
So let's help him.
Tumsaidie. They'll even call the child with you. Nataka tuandikiane, tuelewane that you're not going to do this and
exactly.
this. And can you be coming for sessions? Because maybe they had reasons why they did that.
Yeah.
Maybe nobody even cared to know what was actually happening. Like a case I was dealing with recently whereby, you know, a child got into some malfunctioning that the family got into shock. And I was asking them, where was this child in school? Was there a teacher counselor in that school? Were they not able to pick this behavior? Even the class teachers, I mean, they should also be able to pick behaviors. You know, there are those peculiar behaviors in students that you can easily pick. Did they pick them? Did they address them? Because there is a way also as a school you can be able to avert, you know, some of these anxieties, some of these depressions that happen in children by being able to pick their behavior and trying to work through that.
Right.
Together with the parents, and of course the parents speaking the truth about their children if they want them to be helped.
Right.
Usifichie mtoto.
Yeah, don't say your child is for
so good. Yeah, ni walimu, ni shule. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about those who have finished school. Imagine you were in a boarding school, you were used to a routine, waking up at a certain time, going to class, eating at a certain time. There was a schedule that you could follow. And now suddenly you're done with school, you're at home. Results are not yet out. You're wondering, what do I do in this season? We don't really think about how these kids are dealing with their with that particular transition right now. And does it affect them, you know, mentally?
It does affect them mentally. Because you see, like you woke up in the morning, knowing very well you're coming to Citizen, isn't it?
Yes.
I woke up and knew I'm coming here after here, I'm going somewhere else. So kind of our life is some kind of a routine. Yeah? Maybe someone is monitoring what we are doing. Maybe someone is not. You know, you're just monitoring your own life. But kind of there's a way you have planned your life. But you might find that for some of these young people, they've been used to being planned for. When they are in boarding school, the bell will go in the morning, maybe around 4:30 they will wake up, go shower, go for preps. Another bell will go, they'll go for breakfast. Another bell will go, they'll go for maybe assembly, you know, that kind of a thing. So their life is actually structured. Now they've come to a point whereby they're just there. I mean, no one has structured their life. And I always tell parents, even before your child completes school, can you start working out something for both of you? You know, like nowadays we have so many short courses where you don't even have to go to class. You know, these gadgets that we have, they are really, really useful. You know, it depends on what are you doing with this gadget. Are you going on TikTok? You know, are you on Facebook? Are you on WhatsApp? Are you on IG? Where are you when you pick your gadget? There's so much we can train our children to do with these gadgets so that it's going to actually keep them busy as they wait for the results, because they are waiting for the results to determine what is the next course of action. But they should not get used to idle life. There's also anxiety, of course. You did the exam. Like now, the ones who are waiting for the KCSE results. You did the exam, your child did the exam. The parent is stressed, waiting for the results. The child is also waiting for the results. So what is going on in their mind? If they just stay there focusing on that, it's going to cost them a lot on their mental health. So they need to get some activities to get involved in, even if it means charitable activities. Yeah, it can really help, you know, go a long way to keep their mind busy. Because if they don't keep their mind busy, the moment the results come out and they're supposed to join this college, go to this university, do this and this, it's going to, you know, take a toll on them when they are trying to adjust again. Another mental health issue. Yeah, so they need to formulate, you know, a life whereby there's that continuity. I'm not just there. I'm either doing this or I am doing this. Yeah.
Now that you've mentioned results, there are people who, actually, I think every parent or every caregiver expects that their children are going to pass. All these children are going to get A's, good grades and all that. How do we prepare ourselves for the unfortunate turn of events?
Yes. You know, when you do an exam, you're supposed to have two expectations. You'll either pass or fail. That is what is obvious, isn't it? But you know, the way human beings are wired, a no is never part of our lives. It's always a yes. So, you know, everything has to be positive. We are never ready to deal with the negative aspects of our lives. So people need to know that, yes, you sat for the exam. And you know, like when you ask, how was this paper? Like this teacher was going viral on TikTok after every paper. Oh, geography was like this. Of course, he was just doing his content creation, yeah. But there are those maybe who are taking it seriously. So the parent is like, hey, geography was so easy. Oh, history was so easy. Hey, this time mathematics, those figures, it was so easy to deal with those figures. So they know that their children are going to pass the exam and pass very well. And then now, the results come and they have not done well. Watasema, even that teacher on TikTok, alikuwa anasema, it is TikTok. It is content creation. A guy is just trying to live their life. Maybe he's not even a teacher anyway. Yeah. So you need to be prepared for either way. You know, just as I said, a coin has two sides. It's either you're going to do it well or you're not going to do it well. Whichever way, parents and the students should learn to accept the results the way they come, and then they start working around them. Now that this is what has come. By the way, there are even those ones who are expecting that maybe they will fail, but maybe what they wrote was the correct answers. Yeah. So again, there'll be that shock. You know, we have positive stress and we have negative stress. There's what you call eustress. That is the positive stress. You're stressed over something good. You know, how could I even have passed this exam? Oh, and you're so shocked. Maybe at answer, I'm going to do this and this. I'm going to go to, you know, just some college and do, you know, maybe some photography and just live my life. And then there you are with your B+. You're supposed to go to the university. Are you prepared for 4 years at the university? Mentally, maybe you are not. So it's about preparing your mind for both the negative and the positive results. Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about work and mental health, yeah? Because as children are dealing with their own transition, even the adults are dealing with their own transition. Let's talk about what happens around this time at the workplace and how that takes a toll on our mental health.
Yeah, it's about readjusting, and it's about how ready are we to usually readjust or to adjust. And it's all about planning. How well do we plan our work? How well do we plan our life so that when those adjustments come, they don't take a toll on our mental health? So say, for example, okay, you've been on holiday, you're coming back to work, you're changing your workplace. Maybe the year starts with some kind of promotion or even demotion, because they also come. And maybe you need to change your workstation. Like now you're being told you not work from this studio, your work will be at the gate. Can you imagine now adjusting to the cold at the gate? Yeah. So it's about trying to plan in advance. And of course, I believe some of these communications will always come early. Yeah, you'll get a letter or whatever it is or some form of communication. So it's about trying to plan your life early, because I believe every time you plan your life, you don't get it wrong. And I'm not saying that anything is cast on stone. You may plan, and that is why we do what we call analysis. You plan your life, you put it into action, you get to a place where you need to evaluate and see what is working and what is not working, and you replan again. So like now you're adjusting. So it is not the first time you've been on holiday, yeah? You've always gone to holiday and gone back to work. How have you always done it? What has always worked for you and what has never worked for you? What do you need to change? There's what we call cost-benefit analysis. What is the cost of what you've always done? What is the what are the benefits of what you've always done? How about changing things around? What is positive about it? What is negative about it? So life is just about planning. When you plan everything well, I don't think anything should be able to affect your mental health. And you should always be ready for any eventualities in life, because they will always be there.
It sounds so easy when you say it, but right now the reality is what people commonly refer to as January.
Oh, yes. Talk about January.
There is what? Yeah. And then there was December. People are going on holiday in these nice destinations.
Yes.
And you're wondering, how come everyone has money to travel and fly and do all these nice things? right now guys are struggling to pay school fees and they're like, okay, what happened? We were paid. So what happened?
Nisaidie fare ya kwenda job kesho. Sina fare ya kwenda job kesho.
Sasa hii chakula tu ni cabbage na ugali. So, you know, talk to how do we get it wrong?
You know what?
Ama ni maisha tu imekuwa ngumu.
You know, I believe what works for you is not what works for me.
Yeah.
But you know, some of us copy-paste other people's lifestyles to our own. You know, the way when a child is growing, children learn through observation, isn't it?
Yes.
But even as adults, we also want to, to assume that we are also learning through observation, that what you're doing is what is supposed to be done. Who tells you that what the other people are doing is what's supposed to fit in your life? You need to have your own best fit. You know, what is your life like? What is your social economic status? What kind of activities, financial activities are you involved in? What are your sources of income? You know, because another person's life will never be your own life. You know, because, you know, the way you build your house is not the way I'm going to build my house. But if I build my house according to yours, some of us will go at a loss, you know, because maybe you're building a house because you have 3 children. I also have one child. I only have 1 child. So because I've seen yours is 5 bedrooms, I'm also putting 5 bed. Okay, who is going to use the other bedrooms, for crying out loud? So it's about trying to live your own life, regardless how other people are living their own lives. And you know now, we also affect the way people live their lives. As I come here, I'm there posting that I'm on a ship. I'm doing my,
I'm living large.
Yes, I'm living so large. And
but is it wrong? I mean,
okay, it is not wrong. Just accept other people's life and pray that you also get
also
there
living your life.
And live your own life the way
but by posting, you're just living your life and
exactly.
And putting
so when
things.
somebody
So is it wrong?
posts that they're actually on a space, whatever, they're going somewhere, also post your uko ushago. Yeah, like maybe let me use the example of the Bahatis. You know, they were in the village. Walikuwa kikima huko Amine, Ukambani. And Diana will, proudly post the kids. She's in the kitchen, the village kitchen cooking. It was still a holiday. Yeah, but it's not that they don't have the money. So it's just the way you plan your own life. So don't emulate what somebody else is doing. Do your own thing. And again, don't stress yourself to go beyond what you can afford. That is why you'll start borrowing. Some of us were paid on 22nd, yeah? And, there's a post I read that somebody was saying, right now, it's not even end of December, I only had 7,000 shillings and I have kids to take to school. Okay, it is you who has cost yourself to have the 7,000 shillings. You ought to have planned and known that during December holiday, people are usually paid early. But it is you to plan your finances. It's just about financial management. But again, sometimes I pity the heads of the family. Whereby there are a lot of expectations. There are a lot of expectations like, daddy, we have to, daddy, it's never about mommy, daddy, we have to, daddy. So like, okay, I don't want to let my family down. I have to wear that brave face and decide that I'm doing it. Sorry to say, but I have a kind of a husband who will tell you, si unajua tu ile hali tuko saizi. When things are okay, we do things. When things are not okay, we don't do them. We don't have to do them because other people are. So, you're used to that because it's about, are we able or are we not able? Because you can never live another person's life. It's about living your own life. It's about accepting yourself and your situation.
So before you make that decision whether to fly to Diani or to Dubai, you ask yourself whether you are able to pay school fees for your children in January 1st.
Exactly. There's also, I just love seeing the memes and the content creators just make my days. Sometimes when you are, there's a way you spend your free time. It's always good to get a good laugh. So when I want to get my good laugh, I'll go to TikTok and just watch what is happening. So there's someone who was acting as a principal and saying, we kula tu, lakini tuonane tarehe 6. Usikuja kuniambia na kuona, I can see you, nimekuona, I've seen where you are. Of course it's fun, but like I've seen you somewhere. We chinja tu, but when you come back, the first thing, ujue kuingia pale kwa gate, you pay the whole school fees.
And imagine it's true. It's actually the reality.
Because how do the schools run anyway? People spend
money.
Yes, a lot of it.
And then now come Jan. But you can actually plan for all these things. It's not bad to go on holiday.
It is not
you
bad.
Can actually plan for both. your obligations and the holiday.
Yeah.
You can still begin now planning for
you can plan for your 2027 holiday now.
Yeah.
You decide that, and in good financial management, always have something that you're putting away. You're not a good financial planner if you're just spending everything. Yes, you have obligations. Maybe you have rent to pay, you have school fees, clothing, you have fuel or transport, whatever you're doing. But at least hata kama ni shilingi 100, just keep that away. There's always a rainy day. And also you can decide, I want to plan for a holiday. So every month I'll be putting in this. But then there are families who come together and they do things together. Like maybe I can decide like all my children are working. Yeah. So we can decide we are going to open an account where kila mtu atakuwa naeka maybe 5,000. So come the end of the year, we all decide to go on holiday. You get? Yeah, so I mean those things happen. We have chamas where people decide that we are going to do this, save up, and then when it comes to this time of the year, we go for holiday. And again, who told you that holiday has to happen in December only?
It can happen
holiday can be even in January.
Yeah, true.
It can be in February. I'm planning to go for mine in February, by the way. I've not even gone for holiday.
Okay.
Because again, there's something we need to know. During the festive season, hotels are damn expensive. Food is very expensive. The mode of transport is very expensive because everyone is doing it.
And chaotic.
Why sleep on the road that you're going for holiday? So you can always plan to do things your own way, and you will love and enjoy them. You don't have to live a life of, you don't have to do what other people are doing.
All right.
Yeah.
There's also that group of people who are changing careers or changing jobs from one employer to another. It was maybe their New Year resolution, and they have actually done it this particular month, and they're in that space of trying to adjust to this new environment. The same way we talked about kids and new schools, let's now talk about adults.
Yeah, so you're adjusting to a new environment. You're changing jobs, isn't it? There's one thing I believe. When you go to a new place, it is you to try and adjust to fit into that new place. It is not the people who are there, whom you have found there, who are supposed to fit into your schedule. So it's always good to go and take your time, study the system, understand the system, understand the people who are there. What does this one want? What does this one like? Does this one like joking? Is this one a serious worker? So you need to study people and try to understand them. You need to study them like you come in, maybe you're driving. You're coming into a new place. You can't just drive in. You need to ask, so how do I go? Where do I park my car? Maybe umekuja, it's a new place. You've parked at the manager's parking. And then you're told, toa hiyo gari hapo. Day one, So you need to learn the system and try to fit into the system. That way, even your mental health will not be affected. But if you come in and you're expecting your former office in your new office, things are not going to work out for you. You will start complaining, hii place watu ni wabaya. Maybe si watu wabaya, wewe ndio mbaya.
Do we have instances where that kind of a transition has affected somebody mentally?
Yes, it does.
How bad can it get if you don't handle it the right way?
Okay, maybe like currently, there was this thing in the teaching fraternity whereby there was this delocalization of school heads.
Yeah.
So maybe when I come to work in this school, I settle my family. Maybe I've been there for some time, so I've even acquired property and that kind of, maybe hata nimejenga. And then now there's that delocalization. I need to move to another place where I cannot commute from where I usually live. That affects me, that affects my family. So finally affects my mental health. Maybe we have to separate. I have to leave my family here to go and work elsewhere. I have to go and rent a house. You get, because I have to get accommodation. Maybe where I was commuting to my place of work so easily. Maybe I was just like walking in, yeah. Now I've gone to a place whereby I'm spending a lot of money on transport. Maybe even it's a place whereby even the roads are not car friendly, you know, because that one also happens, isn't it? Yeah. Now, the weather of the place maybe will affect my health. Maybe I'm someone who is asthmatic. I've been sent to an area that is very, very cold. So it starts affecting my health. So there are all those issues that will come with that kind of adjustment. Yeah, so it is you to try and see, how do I fit in? What do I put in place for me to be able to fit in? And also, people are there to listen. If you have a medical issue and you've been transferred to somewhere whereby you can't even get the medical attention, talk it out. You know, people suffer because of not talking out. Talk it out, express yourself, explain, and you have your evidence, you have medication sheet and all that. I mean, somebody who is of goodwill will understand you and will help you to either transit well or even maybe take you to a place where you can be able to survive because of your health condition and all that. Yeah.
Sometimes it's not even necessarily a health issue. It could be just even you trying to, maybe what you used to do at the former place is different from what you're doing now, and you're really finding it difficult to adjust to these new duties and this new style of doing things. So the same advice that you've given on how to handle your health concerns, you can also share these concerns with you know, whoever is in charge at the new place. Doesn't mean that you're incompetent or you're not qualified enough. You just explain that maybe how things are done this side is a bit different from what I'm used to, and then you can be able to, you know, work together on how you can be able to sink in.
But then there are people who have gone to new places and brought in positive changes. Yeah. And I've also seen that, of course, even in my place of work, where you find that someone comes and says, I've seen the way you're doing things. I think where I was, we were doing this. Maybe what's your take on us trying to borrow? And sometimes you've borrowed and you've seen it working well. Yeah, so sometimes even this new person is not, you know, you don't go there, keep quiet and see things are not going so well. Maybe even you've been taken there to try and shape up things. So you'll not go there and keep quiet. You go there, approach whoever is in charge and just have a talk and say, okay, I've seen this and this, I've studied this and this. I don't know, maybe, what do you think about this establishment? Maybe, could we try this? Could we try this? Do you think this could work? Okay, the problem is that most bosses think that you're there to compete with them, or maybe to undo what they have done. When you're trying
to bring in
so you'll find some of them being very adamant. But the ones who are not adamant will say, oh, I can see you have something. Why can't you put it on the table? And then we work together towards the betterment of the establishment.
We're talking about jobs, careers, but let's also think about, around this time, there are people who've lost those jobs, and there are people who've made that decision to close a business. You know, maybe that is their new year resolution, decision that I'm going to close this business. That means they no longer have a source of income this year. They are starting from that point. Talk to us about that group as well.
Yeah, and maybe my question will be, as you're closing up, what plans do you have? Because, you know, you don't just wake up and you close up. You can decide, maybe let's say you've been living in town where you've been paying rent because you've been doing this kind of a business. But it's not just picking up, it's not just doing well. Or there's a lot, you know. The problem is when you begin a new business, people see it and everyone gets into it. So you might find them now even flourishing, doing much better than you and pushing you out of business. So now you get to a point whereby you're not making any profits. It's all losses. You're even borrowing. So there's always what you call plan B. Even if it means maybe even going back to the village, to the home, you know, where you come from, and trying to restructure. You know, refocus, restructure and see. I did this, it did not work. Can I be able to start this? You know, you can even start something away from where you have been living, and then you see. If it starts peaking, then you can always go back. I've had people saying, me, I've packed, I am going home, because things are not working. Then I tell them, if that decision is coming from you, and if it's going to make you comfortable, it is much better for you to close down, pack and go, and try to restructure. Like, you know, I'm
start over.
I'm a farmer, and I love farming. in fact, organically. I love organic farming, whereby I don't have to buy fertilizers, you know, those expensive seedlings, what. So I'll tell you, the first thing I ask you is, do you have some land somewhere? Do you have land at home? Go and start with this. Do herbs, do spices, do this, and just try to get the market, you know, do this. And some people have begun that, and you find them even doing much better than me who gave that advice. So you find that sometimes we close our eyes and think that life is only in towns, or life is also only about doing white-collar jobs, or doing, you know, businesses that unaonekana, you make a chuma hapo, you put this there. But people forget that you can do anything for as long as you're earning a living. So it's about them trying to adjust to new ideas and new things.
All right.
Yeah.
As we are closing down this conversation, you know, we started from a point of talking about the transition to school, to work, and the holidays. How best, you know, as a specialist in matters mental health, how best do you think we should overall handle that transition so that we are not impacted on the negative side when it comes to our mental stability? Some tips, you know, how to go about it.
Okay, one, it's about proper planning.
Yeah.
Just plan well, and tell yourself a positive story that things are going to work anyway, whichever way. And tell yourself whatever is not going to work, somehow I'll have to see how to work things around it to ensure that it actually works. There's what you call self-care. Don't take it so seriously on you. If things are not going to work out, it's not your fault that they're not working out. This is what you call self-care. Your mental health, you know. What are you thinking? What are you doing about what is not working? What is not working and you're not in control? What you can't control, just leave it alone. Seek support, you know. Sometimes, you know, when you keep quiet and maybe things are not working, that is where we lose it. Seek support. Talk, you know. Talking is actually, it's therapy, you know. Talk about it. Talk about what you think is not going to work. Share your plans maybe for the year, and let other people listen and maybe just put in their input. Also, don't take it so much, you know, out on yourself. Like if things are not working, it's about me. It's not always about you. It could be about other people. It's only that we don't exist in a vacuum. We exist in systems. How can I also bring other people on board to ensure that things are able to work? We are restarting. This is another year. What didn't work well? What can I do to ensure that this time things can be able to work well? It's about you restructuring. It's about you taking easy on yourself. It's about you planning well, being part of that plan, being part of the execution, being part of the analysis of that plan, and seeing where you can be able to change the paradigm and see what you can do better and maybe what you can stop. You know, it's not always that you have to do things anyway. Sometimes you may have to put a halt. You have to put a comma, you have to delete. Sometimes you just have to move with the flow and take it easy on yourself. Yeah.
And we started by, even at some point, you defined for us what overall mental health is all about. You know, this assessment of our state of mental health should not be a one-time thing.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yes.
How regular should we be doing it?
You know, you need to be self-aware. Every time you see like something is amiss, can you take a self-assessment and ask yourself, where am I? Where do I stand right now? And how does it affect me? And how does it affect others? Because as I said about it, again, it's about your social regulation. It's your emotional, your psychological, and your social regulation. Because it's going to affect how are you going to feel about things, how are you going to react to things, how are you going to make decisions about what you're doing. So you need to have self-evaluation every other time. Whenever you feel like you're hitting a stalemate, have that regular self-assessment to be self-aware of where you are and what is happening, what is going on in your mind, what you're thinking, what you're feeling, you know, all this, because all those are the components of your stable mental health. So you need to keep on doing the self-assessment so that whatever is not working, you try to formulate ways of working on it so that you can remain mentally stable.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Regina Ndwati. Regina is counseling psychologist. This particular morning, we were talking about mental health and just linking it to the basic things about life, the things that we are doing around this time, taking children to school, transferring kids from one school to another. Even yourself as an adult, wherever you're watching us from, you're transitioning from one job to another, one business to another, or you're just going back to work after a long season of whining and dining, you know, the holiday and the festivities, and now trying to adjust to this new environment that is structured. You have to wake up early. Just talking about how that impacts your mental health. Thank you so much for creating time for that very important conversation. And that's how we wrap it up here on Health and Lifestyle this Wednesday. We do this again next week. My name is Safin Achieng.